Hey everyone, we would love to get to the post-game show, but we're reviewing the previous play for a potential hostile act. We'll be back in the next 25 to 30 minutes, give or take.
Really?
40 minutes. Unite for another Fight Night edition of the PHNX Suns post-game show. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download Bet365 app, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets. The Phoenix Suns took down the NBA referees, the Brooklyn Nets tonight, 106-102, snapping a two-game skid, 106-102. I'm Eric, that's Gil. We got Espo, the freckled mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. And of course, Steven will be calling in live from the morgue later in the show as the Phoenix Suns picked up a chippy, scrappy, technical, and flagrant foul-filled victory against a Brooklyn team that would not die. We're going to talk about Mark Williams' season-high points, Jamaree Bouyea basically officially returning tonight, and the Suns winning without Devin Booker, without Jalen Green, and without Collin Gillespie. But first things first, you got to do your part too. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us get to 50,000 subscribers. Every single subscription means so much. We are less than 700 away to getting to 50,000 subscribers, so please do that and become a member like so many of you in the chat. Gentlemen, what a game. How are you feeling?
Ayrton, do you have it ready? Put the toe tag on the Nets, slap them down on the drawer, and slam that bad boy shut because the morgue has taken another victim. Woo!
Gil?
Fired up, man. Like, that was a much needed win. You know what lies in front of you. It felt like it was going to be a fight from the Nets. I didn't think it was going to be an actual fight from the Nets, but you know what? We got an actual fight from the Nets, and he withstood some punches from them, except no punches were thrown. But metaphorically, you did, and you come out with a win. So that's all you could ask for.
And they were NBA punches.
They were NBA, version of punches.
As far as it gets, like NBA-wise, I know that we got, I don't know if spoiled is the right word, with the Mark Williams and Jose Alvarado fight earlier where like legitimate punches are thrown. That's about usually the extent to which it gets. DeMarre Carroll was shoved, and we can get into that later because the Suns still did pick up a win tonight. 28-19 overall in the season, 15-6 at home, and I get it. On paper, a 106-102 victory against the Brooklyn Nets, who have now lost 6 straight games, is not the most impressive thing in the world. But of course, this is why you don't watch the box scores. This is why you watch the game. No Book, no Green, no Gillespie. We were always asking, who's it going to be? Who's going to step up? The reality is, everybody stepped up, but overall as a team, what an incredible defensive performance filled with hustle and grit and not giving up even when Brooklyn found a groove late. This was one of the more fun wins I think we've had this year, and to do that without the guys that were playing, I mean, what a testament to who this team is.
Yeah, we always said next man up, and we said it before the game, it needed to be next men up, and a bunch of different guys did a bunch of different things throughout the course of the game, and I know we'll get into these guys individually specifically, but I'm just proud of the entire group because at one moment it was Ryan Dunn, at one moment it was Bouyea, Mark Williams throughout the game, Grayson Allen in the second half, Dillon Brooks throughout the game. So all of these guys stepped up and understood what was at hand because this was not a game that you wanted to lose. You never want to lose a game. This is not a game that you could afford to lose. And to be able to dig deep and find a way to win this game, and you talk about the defensive effort, to hold this team to 102 points, it was just really impressive. And I said that before, you know, as pregame ended, I said, we'll come back and you're proud of this group and what they put together. And that's how I feel now.
Ayrton, do we have the Buscemi spectrum? Can we throw that up? Because tonight definitely fell on that spectrum. It was a full Buscemi this evening. It was full, but in the best way possible. I am proud to say that this team won in a Buscemi. Sure, wasn't pretty, lots of issues, and they still came out and they figured out a way to win. You're missing a lot of your top guys tonight due to injury, and you still took every punch that the Nets had to give, metaphorically and almost literally, and you still found a way to win in the crunch time. So very happy with the way it went.
I think anytime you're missing not just the scoring, but the playmaking and the gravity of the three guys that, of course, were missing tonight, you almost have to win in a Buscemi style. And, I get it. Brooklyn, again, not the best team in the world, but you saw tonight, they have some pretty crazy shot makers. MPJ went off for 36 tonight. Cam Thomas hit a couple of tough shots off of the bench. Egor Dëmin, as everybody was calling him, which is not his name, but I think it's hilarious.
Egor Denim Jeans, right? Come on.
Get yourself a sponsorship, sir, but being called Denim is almost as bad as, losing this game. But, the Nets are an interesting team and a well-coached team, but the Phoenix Suns, I believe, are a better coached team. And look, when you go down the list of guys tonight, not everybody had the highest scoring output, but I can't look at a single player who did not make an impact defensively. Even Nigel Hayes-Davis in 7 minutes. I'm not saying they're the best 7 minutes in the world, but he made an impact defensively, helping force a turnover, then helping force I forget the Nets player, but into a Rasheer block, pretty much. Every single player that checked in tonight put together a gritty and scrappy performance. And if that doesn't get you excited for what this group of guys can do when everybody's fully healthy, I don't know what to say, because this is such a fun team. Do you guys want to give out our due to the night honors?
Hell yeah.
Got
Yeah,
to.
because somebody dropped their season high tonight. It's time for our due to the night, presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playedgila.com for more details. It has to be Big Willie, the Big Vito, Mark Williams. 30 minutes tonight, which feels like he played over 30 minutes, but he didn't. 27 points. 13 of 15 from the field. How about 101 from the free throw line, just to keep up that shooting efficiency? Only 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. So not the most dominant night from Mark when it comes to all the things that we expected him to do, the dirty work on the boards, right? I think defensively, he didn't have his sharpest night. But a season-high 27 points. The Suns were looking towards him early, feeding him in the post and finding him late in the game, plus a little self-creation in there as well. All around the best offensive game that we have ever seen from Mark Williams in a Suns uniform, and it's when they needed it.
And did it in 30 minutes.
Not
That's
bad.
great. I thought we had retired calling him Big Willie. I thought we had vetoed that.
Big vetoed the Big Willie?
But he was let's just say he was the biggest of Willies this evening for the Suns.
Might veto that.
Yeah, we can.
The Big Willie's fine. The biggest of Willies?
He went out there, though, and in a night where we said they might have to alter their offense, they did run it through him early. They found ways to get it to him late, like you were saying, Eric, and he came through in a great way. There was no passive Mark tonight. There was no tentative Mark. It was, I'm going to take it straight at anybody the Nets throw at me, and I'm going to find a way to score. And he went out there. He did that, and he is a huge reason why they were able to win this game tonight.
It was basically from the get-go, because I remember you saying that it was one of the pick and rolls. He rolled hard and he finished. It wasn't even a dunk. He just finished aggressively. And you're like, he didn't look tentative or timid at all on that. Timitive. But either that too. Timitive. And we talked about that, and we've talked about that so much with him over the past 3.5, 4 weeks. And he's had some moments, and he had a good game against the Nets last week. So we expected him to have an opportunity to be able to make his impact felt. But the fact that he did it in so many different ways, whether it was the activity as a roller, whether it was on the block, which is the most impressive, because coming into the night, he hadn't really been a guy who you could give the ball to on the block and make things work. And it seemed like he really took that matchup with Claxton personally. It's almost like he wants to be Stephen's favorite player now. So he's trying to take that from
Oh,
Claxton.
you like this guy, SPG?
Oh, I heard you talking about him. I don't like that.
Mark Williams.
Marky Mark and the Fun Bunch tonight.
Again, when we talk about this young core on the Suns, Mark Williams always has to be included because he's 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've seen, like, he's shown flashes of ways that he can continue to improve and get better. And along with Mark being aggressive and looking for his shot, I did feel like the Suns did a really good job of finding him. Most notably later in the game, Grayson Allen with a very difficult pass to Mark, who then floated for the and one layup where he did hit that free throw. I believe Ryan Dunn threw him an alley-oop earlier in the game. I mean, Mark was, yes, more efficient. He was more aggressive, but that doesn't matter if they don't get him the ball. And to have, again, your three best playmakers out tonight, to be able to find a way to give the big man the ball when, okay, now Brooklyn knows. They know that you're going to Mark. There was literally a point where that was the entire offense. To still be able to do that and for him to find ways to score is just such a good ecosystem for this team. And if he can channel a little bit more of this, I don't know if I want him taking 15 shots a night, which was tied for the team lead with Dillon Brooks, who also had a good night. But if he could do this in spurts, find a mismatch like he did against Denim in the post, or be able to bully Nick Claxton, or just go up for the oop and finish aggressively, or roll when somebody's double teamed, things that we've seen him do in spurts, it'd be really nice for him to use this game as kind of a launching pad after we've seen him at the beginning of this month and the end of last month struggle a little bit when it came to imposing his will.
Yeah, you hope that this is that jumping off point for him. He's about to play more games as a Sun than he ever did in a single season with the Hornets. I think we all felt like he might have hit that wall a little bit. And tonight he Kool-Aid man right through it. He was like, oh yeah, we here and we're going to take care of it. And hopefully this is the springboard. Extremely efficient tonight, aggressive. And yeah, when Devin and Jalen and Collin are back, do you need him to score 27 every night? No, but you do need him to be a force down there if you need a bucket. And tonight he proved he has that in his game.
To be a force and to be a threat. Because that's the big thing we've talked about so much with intent. And you can tell a difference between a guy who's rolling to score and just rolling to roll. And I think that he's told that line at points and times. And I think that maybe it's the wall. Maybe it's still getting accustomed to the guys you're playing with and not necessarily understanding their tendencies, not wanting to get into the way. And yeah, you're right. I don't think 15 shots is a lot unless he's really got it going and they really are trying and with some type of mismatch. But we've talked so much about the type of effort things he can get. He probably should get 2 attempts per game just from running the floor and beating his matchup. He probably should get a couple putbacks a game, a couple rolls a game. And I think somewhere between that 6 and 8 is fine, maybe even 10. And tonight is an example of what he can do with those types of opportunities. And shoot, maybe moving forward, he gets one look on the post on the block every game just to see if he's got it from there or not, because he showed us some things that we hadn't really seen from him in that circumstance, because I don't think any of us would have considered him to be a back to the basket scorer. And not necessarily saying that he is now, but it's something that you might be able to have, especially when you talk about sometimes the offense kind of slows down and bogs down. Oh, let's dump it on the block. And we know he's a capable passer. Maybe people can start cutting off of him and things like that. So that can open up the offense in some other ways. And again, hopefully get these guys back to full strength and have different complements of things. But to see this from him and show he's capable of doing it is pretty impressive.
I would go to him early in games too, and dump it down there once or twice in that first quarter just to get him in a rhythm, so you can go back to him.
Kellen Olson shared this before the game. According to NBA tracking data, he only had 15 field goal attempts on post-ups this year going into tonight. That definitely went up a significant margin.
It doubled.
Yeah, but I think the cool part about it, Gil, what you were mentioning about what he does on a day-to-day, the little things, outrunning guys on the court, the hustle, he still did those things tonight, right? It wasn't one or the other. And I think if we can get a little bit more versatility offensively from what you've seen from Mark, I think he's been more versatile on defense than you would have expected. Yeah, he's a big dude. He could protect the rim, but I also think he's got very quick hands, been able to defend the perimeter. Even if tonight wasn't the sharpest of nights, for that, we've seen that versatility on the defensive end. If he can add 1 or 2 moves, the same way that we talk about, hey, Oso needs a go-to move, right? Going into tonight, what would we have said Mark's go-to move was? Catch an oop, dunk the ball, maybe get an offensive rebound. If he can get a little bit of like that self-creation bucket that he got for 27 points, which by the way, in the clutch, huge shot, would have maybe been our love to play if not for a couple of other big plays tonight. If he can get bits and pieces of that, it also keeps defenses honest. And when you have Jalen Green, in theory, who keeps defenses honest, Devin Booker, who keeps defenses honest, Grayson Allen, Collin Gillespie, Dillon Brooks, all these guys who keep defenses honest when they have the ball in their hands. And now you got a 7-foot dude who can create a little bit. You dump it down to him in the post. If he has even somewhat of a mismatch and he proves to be efficient, what do you do? How do you defend that? That is how important every little wrinkle that Mark can add to his game is. And again, most people will look at a night against Brooklyn without those 3 guys, say it doesn't matter. Okay, good win. Who cares? Move on. But this for Mark Williams and for a couple other guys here, if they can take this and make it at least bits and pieces of their games going forward, this is a huge deal and a huge game for this team.
Well, yeah, because when guys drive the lane, which they haven't had a lot of success at, or at least getting to the rim this year, if a defender can't cheat off Mark at all, because you know how much of a threat he is, that's going to open up opportunities for other guys around the rim, and that is a very big thing that this team needs. So.
Yeah, we have a lot that we are going to get into today. Any final thoughts on Mark before we hit a quick break here? We'll come back. We'll talk about maybe some other guys who were in contention for Dude of the Night. We'll name our blue-collar boy of the night. We'll look at the numbers. We're going to do all of it because the Suns picked up a big win over the Nets. Of course, big time in part because of Mark Williams' season-high 27 points.
Yeah, last thing I was going to say about him is you mentioned the list of names that you had that weren't available tonight. It's never easy in the NBA, but it should be easier when those guys are back on the floor because of the gravity that they have and the way the defenses have to take them into account. So now if Mark Williams is a threat to do some of the things that he did in spurts, in games with Devin Booker and Jalen Green and Collin Gillespie on the court, the opposing defenses have another wrinkle they have to worry about, and the Suns get that much more difficult to deal with on that end of the floor.
Yeah, I just love seeing Mark step up like that in a night where you were missing your top 3 guards and you needed somebody to fill in that void. And he said, put it on my shoulders. I got you tonight. And that's what this team's predicated on. It's so cliche, but next man up, and Mark Williams was up tonight.
I say this in the most complimentary sense possible. The Phoenix Suns team is full of cliches, and I love it. And that's right. Mark wasn't the only reason why the Suns won tonight. We're going to name our blue-collar boy. We'll talk about Dillon Brooks, Grayson Allen, the clutch shots, the big fight, everything in between on the other side of our first break. We talk about the Zoom action here on this show and, of course, in Steven's studies. What about, like, literal Zooms over at Phoenix Raceway? March 5th through the 8th. It's coming up faster than you would think. NTT IndyCar Series and NASCAR for the first time ever are racing during the same weekend, and where else would they do it but Phoenix Raceway? And who else could get a front row seat to it all but you? With the best access in motorsports, you can go inside the garage, walk the track, meet the drivers, catch the pre-race concert, and no sport brings the fans closer by upgrading to the Desert Diamond Casino in-field experience. You have ticket options from hillside views to race weekend packages that make planning easy, all centered around action-packed days of racing. You can watch 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson return to the track where he won it all just a couple of months prior. So March 5th through the 8th, NTT IndyCar Series sharing the track with NASCAR, not at the same time, but on the same day for the first time ever. Secure your seats at the link in our description.
Look, if you're driving a NASCAR, you're going to need some gas. And if you're driving a regular car, you do too. And you can get it at Circle K. And guess what? Just unlike the NASCAR guys who get it for free and somebody rolls up and just pours it in their car, you can get it for cheaper at Circle K just because you're a member of the Inner Circle. You're going to save 25 cents off your first 5 fill-ups. Then, after that, you're going to hit the Gill level. He's still new here. 3 cents off per gallon. Then you hit the Freckled Mamba level, 5 cents off per gallon. Plus, you are going to get great deals on Polar Pops, 79 cents, Frosters, 99 cents. A great deal on their Meal Matrix food for a great price. And that is not all. You're going to get the opportunity to save even more on gas. Right now, you buy 3 20-ounce Cokes, you're going to save 25 cents on your next fill-up. So join the Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
Please hit that like button. Please become a member, become a diehard. But more so than anything, we are asking, or quite frankly, I am begging you to subscribe to this channel because we are so close to 50,000 subscribers, and I get it. It's annoying. I understand. I listen to podcasts. I listen to shows. Every single one asks you to hit that subscribe button, and it kind of just turns into the adults in Charlie Brown, where it's like,
Not here, though. The people love us so much, they hang on every single
I'm sure of it. But if you do hang on every single word, or you're new around here, or you listen on audio, we are so close to 50,000 subscribers. We're less than 700 away. For a startup like us, still haven't been around for over half of a decade. Such a small team here. The amount of hours and hours and hours every single day that goes into putting the work, not just for this show, but for every single show that goes on there. Getting it for free and hitting that subscribe button for free is a pretty good deal if I do say so myself.
It's not the size of the staff, it's how you use it. And don't you forget, we use it the best way possible here.
Hashtag Big Willie style. Okay. I want to get to some super chats here. I know that, you kind of wait for super chats a little bit later, but we have quite a few of them. Let's start with Don Davius. Don Davius with a $1.99 super chat says, good Ryan Dunn game tonight. His defense was amazing. And well-timed for Ryan Dunn as well. 9 points for him, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 4 or 6 from the field in just 21 minutes, which, again, is pretty high for him considering where he has been in the rotation. Very well-timed considering where he was at in the rotation coming into tonight.
I think he played a good game, took advantage of his minutes. I think Rasheer Fleming did as well. Both of them stepped in, and they knew that with Livers out, they were going to get an opportunity. With some of these guards out, that the rotation was going to get expanded. Ryan was crisp on defense. It took his opportunities offensively, and I think Rasheer was extremely good on defense as well.
Ryan had that steal and dunk, and I got up out of my seat. And I was just happy to see it because we've talked so much about him maybe being out of the rotation, maybe being out of his way here, and maybe having a lack of confidence. And at one point I was watching and I said, it looked like he's playing through whatever issues that he might have been having in the last several games. And I think that's the fact that a lot of times it's human nature. He wasn't looking over his shoulder thinking somebody's going to check in for him, and he could play a little more freely. So the big thing now is bottling that feeling of being able to play freely and do those things, and taking that when this team is at full strength and the minutes might be at more of a premium, still play your game.
Keybon 9095 with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Keybon. Says, Tiny Royce supporter, glad he switched quick and contribute other than threes. Wait, what happened? I don't care. Suns in 4. That was a roller coaster ride of a super chat. But yeah, the threes weren't falling for Royce tonight, but he did have some big defensive moments at the end of the game. I hope that's what you meant.
I'm very confused.
Are you tiny?
Is he tiny?
Are you not that big of a supporter?
Is he saying Royce is tiny? I'm very confused. I appreciate the super chat. I agree with most of it, but I need to know what the tiny is in reference to here.
Let us know, Keybon. Jeff Blazer 69 all-time name, all-time super chat, $2 here, straight to the point. 72 points in the paint. Let's do that again. Well, if they did, they would tie their season high in points in the paint. Kind of with the first comment from Keybon there. The 3-ball was not falling for the Suns tonight. Shot just 25% from deep, but shot 57% from inside the line, hit 43 of 76 for 72 points. Mark Williams, big part of that.
Yeah, got to give him the credit where it's due. And you could tell the Suns noticed a weakness with the Nets and took advantage of it. 72 of your 106 points came in the paint, and another 15 came to free throw line. So it's not that many points elsewhere. So the fact that they were able to get 2 feet in the paint and get the ball to guys on the block or get the guys running the floor, Oso's dunk counts as points in the paint as well. So a lot of loud points in the paint, taking advantage of what they saw as a weakness and lack of rim protection in Brooklyn.
You knew you were gonna need something, because they have struggled from beyond the arc, especially when Devin Booker hasn't been there and the ball's not moving that way. So they found a unique way to make up for it tonight for them with those 72 points.
Crusader X6 celebrates 3 months of being a member, which, by the way, for every month you're a member, you get a prepaid super chat. Just pays for itself, minus, the emojis, the exclusive content, and everything else that you get. Thank you, Crusader. Says, tonight really showed Mark Williams can be a 20-plus point per game scorer if we feed the big man. I'll use the rest of the super chat to say, F the Lakers, F the Lakers. You know what? Put that in the Hall of Fame of super chats.
Just the F the Lakers part. Yeah.
F the Lakers. But yeah, I think we talked about a lot of that with Mark. We do definitely appreciate your chat, and your point is 100% correct. Okay, we got another one from Riddle on Mark. Says, how to William carry a game? Okay, but I want to see more of Bouyea, because says she's not afraid. I'm assuming you meant he's not afraid to run up to the rim and score.
Saw some good finishes from Bouyea today. I think he was shaking the rust off a little bit on Sunday, and he plays so well off of 2 feet, and he understands his angles, and he's got some I guess English, some jelly with him around the rim. And we've seen it a lot throughout, where he just kind of knows how to use his body. He's not the biggest guy out there, but he goes amongst the trees and finishes, and that's really important for this offense. Again, getting some points in the paint and also putting some rim pressure, making defenses kind of adjust. So I think that's why Bouyea is so important, especially in a game like this, because you called him on the phone, you paged him.
He answered.
He answered.
Oh,
he
answered big time. We have another super chat about Jamaree Bouyea from Mesa for Teens. Kev, always good to see you, Kev. Says, was at the game tonight and 100% keep Bouyea. Jamaree Bouyea, the man that you are our blue collar boy of the night. What a guy in 25 minutes, 10 points, 5 of 11 from the field, 3 rebounds, an assist, a steal, a block. Did they give him that block at the end of the quarter? Because that shot should not have counted, but the block was so damn good, they said, whatever, give it to him.
Can we put the picture back up?
Don't be mean.
I'm just going to say, this is a younger photo of him.
Yeah, he's from the Bucks.
And his hairline's further back.
He's aging in reverse. He's our own Benjamin Button.
Apparently.
Bouyea Button.
Bouyea Button. Well, Bouyea Button was on the button tonight, 10 points, and had the ball on a string. Some circus layups for Jamaree Bouyea, some spin moves, some jelly. I mean, Gil, this guy spent some time grinding 2K while he was out with his concussion, which I wouldn't recommend. It hurts your head. But he got a lot of VC, bought a new layup package, and man, he was hitting some tough ones tonight.
No, for sure. And I think that that's kind of what we've talked about so much about him when he first got to this team and he got thrust into the rotation. And you probably expected him to see some spot minutes just to get an idea of who he was or what he could be. And it's like, wait a second, this guy can actually contribute at a high level in serious minutes. And they trusted him in this moment, which was a crucial moment, I think. Like, these losses could have snowballed. And we knew with the amount of guards that were out on the injury report, Jamaree Bouyea was the guy who was going to have to step up and kind of galvanize a second unit. And that's exactly what he did with the things that he was able to do tonight. And again, he's always in the right place at the right time, making plays with his effort and energy, and the ball finds energy, and that's what he does.
Grinding in 2K, was that Dancer and Atlanta?
Big Willie style.
No, but yeah, I mean, you're right, though. He went out there, and it felt like the guy that we saw prior to the injury, a guy that was not afraid to just go with reckless abandon at the hoop and find a way to score. And that's why this guy has gained such attention and love from Suns fans in just this short period of time, is because that is who he's been, and it was good to see it back out there tonight.
Had a couple ISO shot attempts,
yeah,
which he was back in San Francisco mode for a little bit, but I respect it. He earned those attempts too.
Yeah, he was getting into it. And I think tonight we went into it in the pregame show, which, by the way, if you listen on audio or you don't know, we do YouTube exclusive pregame shows for every single game. Make sure you check those out. Just 30 minutes of basically just packed basketball talk. It's really awesome. We talked about, I've said multiple times the Suns have the deepest guard rotation in the NBA. Well, they're missing 3 of them tonight. Grayson Allen, 18 points, 7-11 from the field, 2 of 4 from deep, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Pretty much all of those points coming in the second half for him. Barely even shot the ball early on. Jordan Goodwin, not the best offensive night, just 4 points for him, but added 9 rebounds and 3 assists along with a steal. 3 of those rebounds offensive. A guard, but doing the other things that they needed him to do tonight without Mark Williams really manning the middle, grabbing boards. And then you got Jamaree Bouyea off the bench, like we mentioned, his 10 points too. This is the epitome of, we found guys that fit our culture, fit our team. And what was really cool was Jamaree hit a couple of those layups, and Royce O'Neal was coming off on the sideline and dapping him up and giving him a chest bump, right? And a lot of these guys on this team, whether it is Royce, who was undrafted, right, or Jordan Goodwin, who was just given up by another team before he got here, a lot of these guys have hit these points in their career, maybe not exactly the same that Jamaree's been through, but they've not been wanted. They've had to go through some adversity. They've had to fight through another team giving up on them, like Jamaree has had to do 4 times before he got here. So when they see somebody like that step up, fit in instantly, and now get to the point where we have so many guards, and I don't think that you can keep Jamaree on a 2-way going into the playoffs just in case, considering just how impactful he's been. What a story to follow for the Suns. And again, an embodiment of who this team is holistically, but in one 5-foot 3-point guard with attitude.
You say I shouldn't disrespect him, and then you call
what I said was much more tongue-in-cheek than
5'3".
I love Jamaree Bouyea. Put him in the All-Star game. Like, what are we doing? What is the All-Star game without Jamaree Bouyea?
He could actually be in the NFL Pro Bowl. I mean, we saw that this week.
He has less interceptions than Shadur.
More impact. Look, you can't say enough about Jamaree, and I think you're going to have to find a way to convert him or Isaiah Livers or both of them, which means
if you free up a roster spot,
you're going to have to figure out how to free up a roster spot here at some point. So.
Well, if you trade 2 for one, you already have an open roster spot. So there are ways to do it. Those 2 guys very impactful. Of course, Isaiah Livers also missing tonight. We're not going to miss any of your super chats. Let's read those before we hit a break here. Maze Devil 1821. Thanks, Maze Devil. Says this was a Buscemi at the end of Fargo. Buscemi.
Yeah,
Has anybody seen Fargo? I have not.
I'm pretty sure he gets put in a wood chipper.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah,
No,
pretty
but
sure that's
okay,
the end of
I guess
Fargo.
the definition of a Buscemi is that they win, but it feels like that's not a win.
I mean, if you didn't like his character, I guess it's a win.
I guess. How could you not like a Buscemi?
I mean, I don't know. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and it's quite messy.
Take a whole new meaning to the word chippy win. Calvin with a $4.99 super chat says, "I'll take another win." You're damn right, Calvin. Another one, which means, and we'll do maybe a quick look at the standings later. The Suns are still in striking distance, and again are 9 games above 500 right now after losing their last 2. Oh, the Nuggets lost tonight.
4 more to go to surpass the over/under.
The Clippers did win, though. We'll get into that later, whatever. Buddha, what's up, Buddha? Celebrates 3 months of membership. Says everyone that was mentioned in the trade show yesterday stepped up today. Did we just find the cheat code? Hey, man.
No, we just upped the value. That's what happened there.
I am reminded of reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week, Emmanuel Quickly, was receiving quite a bit of hate from Raptors fans on social, and then ended up being the best player in the world for like the last week. So if we can do our small part, then we will take it. Of course, there are a lot of guys we still haven't talked about tonight. We still haven't gotten into Dillon Brooks' game. We haven't really talked about how awful the refereeing was or the fight night that was as well. I wanted to get to everybody's super chats, but I promise we'll get to all of those, and we'll talk to Steven eventually, and we'll do it all on the other side of our second break. Hey, Pure Edibles. Try them out. Friend to friend. Host to viewer. Check out Pure Edibles because not only are they delicious and not only are they a full-fledged candy company, but those candies are going to make you feel real good. But they know how to make sure that you are comfortable taking edibles, whether you're an experienced pro or you're a beginner and a newcomer, because they have all of their effects clearly listed on each tin so you know exactly what's going to happen. You want to get sleepy? Guess what? It's going to be a sleepy tin, not an indica tin or a hybrid tin. No, it says sleepy. Want to be uplifted? Want to be relaxed? Want to be balanced? Want to be literally anything? Pure Edibles has it. Plus, they have a collab with my favorite IPA, I believe Ayrton's favorite IPA as well, in the Mother Road Tower Station IPA all-in-one vape. That's right, Pure Edibles has a vape as well, so swing by select local dispensaries, grab your Tower Station AIO from Noble Road, cheers the happy hour all day, every day, and go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona.
You know what the best bet is?
What?
Anyone I'm not taking.
Or
but also doing your betting with Bet365, because it's never ordinary with Bet365, and over 90 million people worldwide use Bet365. So why aren't you one of them if you aren't already? Because they were the pioneers of live in-game betting, and they make it more fun than anybody else. I love working with Bet365. I love the app. I'm in it every day for this show, and love finding whatever bet I'm not going to hit because I'm not very good at it. But you can try your hand at it with new customers getting $200 in bonus bets right now, whether you win or lose.
Whoa.
So you bet $5, and when you sign up with that promo code PHNX, deposit 10, and then bet 5 to get 200 in bonus bets if you win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21, physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, next step to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
Woo, if you've made it this far in the PHNX Suns post-game show, congratulations. This is how long it took for them to review everything in the game collectively. So I am saying that a little facetiously, but I actually think that might be correct, because there was at least the 10-minute review at the end of it, and then like 18 other reviews before that. It was long game.
I think the chat got into the Pure Edibles because they're talking about
food.
Snack foods.
Can I ask a question? So how old do we think Nashty, aka Boom Shakalaka, is?
I'm going to say 55.
Ooh, no, I don't think 55. How old do you think?
Do you think older or younger?
No, I think younger.
He's at least 55.
Referencing edibles, a certain local establishment, and I guess, some malt liquor as well.
He's
He's
talked
37.
sitcoms with me.
That's fair.
He's talking about 3D Doritos.
How old are you?
Like this guy is 55.
And I say this because I'm just curious. I'm not saying this in any negative connotation whatsoever. How old are you?
The bar is my age.
12 is a crazy guess.
42 is the lowest. He's
42. Aaron says 42 in the chat. Nashty says 40 years old.
40 on the dot.
On the dot.
I said 37, so I mean,
there you go.
I guessed a little.
Are we
older.
sure it's not you?
I guessed a little older because of the curmudgeonness.
It might be.
But no,
Is that you?
I barely have time to respond to you guys on this
That's
program.
fair.
You think I'm typing stuff in there too?
Okay.
No, and I'd have a better. I've had some better takes than that.
Jeez, that's crazy. Well, look, I felt like I was in my 40s by the time that the NBA was done reviewing things tonight. It's great that the Suns won. That's awesome. And we should talk about the actual basketball game that Dillon Brooks had. Obviously, he had 26 points tonight, but it's hard to talk about this game without at least not just mentioning how long it took for the reviews, but honestly, the reputation that Dillon Brooks has earned, and I'll say it's earned, is it's gone too far. I understand that there are guys that are going to get a shorter leash with officials and everything, but he can't do anything on the court without getting a tech or a flagrant. It's literally like he's going for a loose ball. He might have accidentally hit another loose ball, and they're like, hostile act.
Come on, they weren't loose, and there was two of them.
Fair enough.
All right?
But like, it was okay. Hostile act. Let's give him a tech, and then he gets a flag, and he's literally getting grabbed by Denim, and again, I know how to pronounce his name, but that's what they called him. The referee said on the broadcast.
That's the review.
But like Denim had him pulled both of his arms down, and Dillon was off balance. And even if there was like a little push off or something like that, it wasn't egregious flagrant foul. It gets to a point where how many times are they going to do this? And then we're going to be like, oh, it needs to get rescinded. And I don't think the NBA is going to rescind him anymore because they didn't rescind the last one that we thought should have been rescinded.
Well, you said that. I was going to ask which one you guys thought was more likely to be rescinded, the flagrant or the technical foul, or I guess you say neither.
I think the diving at the three loose balls was probably the one that
it was a basketball play in theory.
It was
that one. I think
it was just like a bad luck.
Granted, he tapped a little bit, but
but the ball was there. Sorry, the basketball was there.
Thank you.
Okay, but also Michael Porter Jr. literally kicked Royce O'Neal in the nuts later. They did nothing about it.
This game was nuts.
Him in the nuts.
We know it was nuts. There was multiple cup checks. Not the Mitch style.
Okay, you've played basketball at a higher level than anybody on this podcast, Gil.
I'm glad you said Gil. Nobody was gonna guess that you.
I'm looking right at you, Espo. Is that not a basketball play?
I mean, yeah. Like I think like you said, it's very much reputation, and it's bad timing and bad luck. No, well, bad luck for Nick Claxton first and foremost, but bad luck for Dillon Brooks too. That like what do you do in that situation, right? Do you just not make a play on the basketball because it's there? Like you can't really reach. Like, and maybe that's what they're saying because Nick Claxton was in the way. You can't reach under somebody or cross somebody. And again, it was unfortunate as far as that goes.
He tried to go through him.
He tried to go through him. But I mean, if that is like kind of a foul, like it wasn't like, because my interpretation of flagrant foul, and I know that there's the penalty 1 and penalty 2 of like, intent, was it a basketball play or not? That didn't feel like it wasn't a basketball play. It just felt like it was an unfortunate strike in a bad place. The second one, as far as a technical foul, like, how do you not see the first thing? Like, this guy has got you latched for a good 5 or 10 seconds. Like, you have to do something to get them off of you. And I think that's what kind of came up later on in the game because the Nets have been doing little stuff like that throughout the game, which if you're paying attention, like kind of away from the ball, you saw stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm curious what will happen. And I know we've talked so much about it and you tweeted it, but, that's 15 techs. So he's 1 tech away. And that's 4 flagrant foul points. So he's 2 flagrant foul points away from a suspension as well. So that's either a flagrant 2 or 2 more flagrant 1s, and he's serving a suspension. So now he's basically reached the brink on both sides, barring something getting rescinded.
At what point do you, if you're Dillon Brooks, you just feel
Get
like,
out of the way.
I should have just speed bagged that thing if I'm gonna get the call for it, or I should have just shoved the guy 6 rows into the stands, like, because at this
That
point,
might be the hardest you made me laugh all season. I legit can't catch my breath.
I mean, at this point, you wind up facing the consequence anyways. So why not make the action worth
Bro,
it?
they would have him playing in the NBL if he was going speed bag on Nick Claxton's nuts. On Nick Claxton's would be over, man. And I think the funniest thing was in that quote unquote kerfuffle later in the game, which, you know, Dillon Brooks was technically a part of, not really a part of. Jordan High runs off the bench and just immediately beelines for Dillon Brooks because he's so important to this team. Imagine if those texts weren't rescinded before early this season.
Yeah.
He would have been kicked out of this game. He would have been gone. They would have lost tonight.
The funny thing though was Jordan wound up leaving.
And then Dillon started talking with Devin.
But Dillon started talking, and Bouyea came over and pulled him away too. Like, the whole team understands the situation and knows how important that Dillon is. Now, I think they rescind one of the two. I think they will, but it doesn't matter. You're still right on the precipice
still one away,
happening. So,
and that's kind of the problem here, which is, and a lot of them have been deserved, and I don't want to make it seem like that's not true, because Dillon Brooks has absolutely earned his fair share of technical fouls and even some of the flagrants that he caught as well. But he is put in such an unfair spot now. And again, you shouldn't ref somebody different if they have 5 fouls in the game or if they have 2. But NBA referees just do it, especially if it's a star. Sometimes Draymond will go out there, especially like prime Draymond, would pick up 4 or 5 fouls because he knew that the refs are not going to foul him out of a game that early, especially when the Warriors were going. And I get that maybe this is me sitting in an idealistic world, but like, he is at the point where he is doing things that normally wouldn't give people techs or flagrants. And then on the other end, he gets bullied. He gets pushed around. Both the flagrant and the technical, there was a clear-cut foul committed by a Nets player on him beforehand that wasn't even called, right? Like, Egor Dëmin was just holding both of Dillon's arms down as they were going backwards. That's a clear foul. And if you called that, then you wouldn't have gotten the situation where they end up being tangled for the next 3 seconds and then they go down and he gets the flagrant. He gets no respect, and that's unfair because he is put in positions where he's getting fouled all the time and they just don't call it.
I agree and I disagree, right? Because eventually the reputation that you create for yourself is going to be something you have to pay for.
Totally understand.
And you know, he's embraced the villain thing. He has done some things that, you know, are questionable at times. We'll say it that way. So eventually you pay for that on the back end. And, you know, these refs are terrible. Like I've said, it's across the board. It's not just for the Suns, but I feel like bias is something that just happens in human nature. Like, if I showed you tweets with no names on it, with certain takes, you know, and then you found out who it was, you might feel a different way about the take just based on the name attached to it. I just think I think there's a mental bias that will naturally happen, and Dillon is not gentle with the refs at any point.
Oh no, he goes up and talks to them all the time.
So I think it's not right. It shouldn't be that way, but it's also understandable why there might be a bias there.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting too, thinking back to that technical foul, not the flagrant foul, but that's what came to my mind. I was like, man, he didn't even get a chance to earn the tech. It wasn't from saying anything, one of the magic words to the refs or calling them one of the magic names, none of that. He just got it because he was in a situation where he felt the need to get a player off of him. And I think if anything, that might be the one that gets rescinded just because of the circumstance, and a foul probably should have been called before that even got to that point. But
which they admitted in
right.
Yeah.
So like, thinking about that, like as far as that goes, and with him, that's 100% reputation. And to a certain extent, that fire, that reputation, that personality is a big part of why this team is 28-19. Like, straight up, that's a big part of it. But on the same token, now when you're thinking about, look, it's game 47, but the playoff push is really starting now, but it's going to intensify here pretty soon. And when you're thinking about your guy is going to start getting suspended for every 2 techs he picks up, and you have more than 30 games left, what are you going to do there? And obviously it resets when the season ends and what have you, but they're crucial games that are coming up, and just getting in this position, it's interesting towing the line and thinking about what he has to do with what the refs are thinking. And I think it's hard to say, hey, you're in the line of battle and you're playing and you're competing right now. You're not really thinking about that, but also kind of having that understanding that, look, this is how refs are treating me.
Look, Dillon Brooks has gotten another reputation this season. That's it as a bucket getter. And we'll talk about the actual basketball game that he played on the other side of our final break. I'm telling you, right now, Mint Mobile's best deal of the year is happening. Get a 3, 6, or 12-month unlimited plan for $15 a month. Now, it's not some wacky, terrible service for that cheap of a deal. No, all Mint plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network, and you can bring over your current phone and number over to Mint. No contracts, no nonsense.
Is that you, Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, I'm right here, okay? But I don't got to be Ryan Reynolds to know that it's a great gift if somebody in your life is looking for some cheaper phone service, or if you're trying to cut down on your expenses and your bills in 2026. Mint Mobile has been here for you. So don't get socks, don't cut down on other things. Go get premium wireless for $15 a month. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/suns. That's mintmobile.com/suns. This is a limited time offer. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, and $180 for a 12-month plan. Required $15 a month. Equivalent terms and conditions and fees apply. Initial plan term only. Over 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Sorry, I was not Ryan Reynolds at the end there for that one.
Once you have your cell phone, you're going to need a debit card and a bank account to go with that debit card. So why not make it the MyStyle checking account with the Phoenix Suns card? You can get that at Mountain America Credit Union because they've got you covered, and they have since 1930. That's right. Since the 30s, they've been around. They have 100 branches between Arizona, Utah, Montana, and Nevada right now, and over 1.2 million members there. And right now, if you become a member of the MyStyle checking account, you're going to get perks like restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, other offers on travel and events, and so much more. So why wouldn't you do it? Make MyStyle your lifestyle. No, Gil, you don't have to dress like this. You can just get the checking account at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/MyStyle to apply. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require a no-cost registration activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. By the way, I think Nashty might actually be me. Because I just saw Nashty drop a fact that I didn't know others actually knew, that the actress that played Topanga in Boy Meets World was born in Mesa. So look at that.
It would be really impressive if you were Nashty. Maybe like in an unimpressive way, but it would still be very impressive.
There we go. Nashty and I talked about Perfect Strangers, Balky and the boys.
It'd be like modern day ventriloquism
on a
podcast. Look,
I actually just preload all those in there, and they just
that's just their time.
Just have your like just a little bot set up to send them. Look, Dillon Brooks was really good tonight. In contention for Dude of the Night, the highest honors in the Suns community. 26 points, don't laugh. 26 points, 34 minutes, 9 of 15 from the field, 2 of 5 from deep, about 40%, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, which is pretty good for him as well. A certified bucket getter on this team, and we knew coming into tonight he was going to have to be the guy who created it. Obviously, we got a lot more from Mark than we thought, but when Grayson Allen didn't have it going early, when nobody else was really stepping up and getting those shots, Dillon Brooks not only hit them, but hit some pretty tough ones as well.
Is he the league leader? And no. Yes.
He's this office leader in that.
Hey, for sure. He might, and I think he might be the league leader. Obviously, we don't watch other teams as closely as we watch the Suns, but you'd be hard-pressed to find another guy. But tonight, and I think the funny thing about Dillon is once you get used to watching him play, you recognize the ones that are in his rhythm and the runs that aren't. And an efficient night at the office for him, 9 of 15 from the field. It was tidy. He got to his spots. It was very much more in the flow of the offense, as we talked about pregame, getting to some spots and playing off of other people as well. I think that was big for him, and it was needed. I think he recognized the spots in which he needed to make things happen and the spots in which he could swing it and get the ball back to make things happen. So I was really impressed with the ways in which he picked those spots. And again, something that Steven talked about, last week when he was in here, saying that look, Dillon Brooks is a winner. He wants to win, and ultimately everything he's trying to do is to win ball games. And he recognized that they needed him to score tonight, and him getting 26 points was a big part of this offense having any type of motion tonight. And again, tip of the cap to him for figuring it out and making those last couple of rough performances seem like a distant memory.
He had a lot of those hockey assists, it felt like, where he was one pass away from the guy that scored, and it wasn't just tunnel vision tonight, which was good to see. That was the concern. Eric joked he'd have to have 20-plus shots tonight potentially, and I said, well, if he does that, he'd have to go 20 for 20. Well, he wasn't that far off, let's be honest. So got to give him his kudos for an efficient game, playing well. It was good to see him do that, and, I'm starting to go, no, a little bit less when it comes to those shots.
It's when he has it going, there are a few players in the league who can do what Dillon Brooks is doing, and I mean that. We should definitely, maybe we'll take some time during All-Star break to do like cut up like a Dillon Brooks scoring reel from the first like 60-70% of the season, because I mean, this guy's going to have some of the craziest highlights I've ever seen. The sidestep 3 over Michael Porter Jr. Dagoon in the chat says he still shoots like a T-Rex. Yeah, but they go in sometimes. And tonight they were going in a lot. The lows have been really low on a game-to-game basis, but we've had so many more highs with Dillon. He has just been so good at individual shot creation to a point that I just expected him to be a big catch-and-shoot guy that was gifted a couple of post-ups because that's just what you do when a guy gives you everything else, but he's not gifted them. Like, he has full-fledged earned every single shot that he takes, even the crazy ones. And that is the most impressive part to me, is like, he's going and knocking down these shots at a rate where now he's taking a contested mid-range fadeaway. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably going in. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant were the only guys I was doing that for last season, right? The only guys I've really done that for a long time is that specific shot. Dillon Brooks is hitting it that efficiently.
Well, remember the first few games of the season where we were like, what in the hell are we watching? Yes. Why is this guy backing down, spinning, chucking
looking like Michael Jordan?
Like, attempting to do everything and anything that doesn't seem like it's in his wheelhouse. And slowly but surely you watched and you went, okay, he has this. Let's see if it can last. And it really has. Now, he's going to have his bad games. We saw that the previous outing. And Royce will have those too, and so will Grayson. So you live with a bad night, because more nights than not, he's actually coming through when you need him to on the offensive end.
We have some sound from Jordan Ott, and I'm very intrigued to hear this one. Coach Ott was talked about the frustration that him and his camp have with how physicality has been officialed as of late.
It's incredibly hard to officiate. We know they're a hard playing team. We know what happened to them in LA. They know what happened to us the last couple nights. So we knew they'd come out fighting, and they played extremely hard. They're extremely well coached. So it's two teams that are just scrapping. You got to earn every single victory in the NBA. We get to a certain point, and this is where the frustration has come from our team this year, as I felt. We play hard, we don't flop, we don't embellish, and when that gets brought into the game, and when we feel that creates frustration for our guys, for me, for all of us. When that gets brought into the game, there's some stuff that it's just hard to overcome, and we got to do better keeping our composure, especially in the fourth quarter. But when that stuff gets brought into it, again, it's extremely hard to officiate, extremely hard to play through some of that. That's where I felt it. Us the most, when we start to really get frustrated, is when some of the reactions of an action out there, whether it's embellishment or whatever you want to call it, that's what happens. And that's where I saw it tonight. I saw that tonight. So we were able to figure out a way to come out with a victory. But again, great credit to the resilience of this group.
I think he walked a really good line there, right? Mentioned, it's hard to officiate. Oh, the Nets are well coached. But he's like, we don't flop. We don't embellish. Like, when this is brought into the game, this is terrible. The Nets were flopping all over the place. And he talked about, how the officials were handling that as well. That's the most pointed comment that we've gotten from Jordan Ott all season.
Whoa. That was the most angry we've seen Jordan Ott.
Literally.
I'm uncomfortable.
Literally.
It's usually so one tone, pretty even keel, and you could feel it. Even though it wasn't like pounding the table, there was no cursing or anything directly about how awful they were. It was to the point. You could feel the frustration. And I think we talked about, should he go out there and get a technical foul? Should he try to, I think that's the more effective way to do it, is make it very clear that these refs are not paying attention to what the opponents are doing, and it's leading to situations that could get out of hand.
No, for sure. And hearing him talk about the team all being on the same page and having the same mentality. Look, we like to scrap. We play tough. We knew this other team was going to scrap and play tough. But flopping is not included in the bounds of playing tough.
You can get technical now for it.
You said rightly so. And watching this game, and when it got to what it got to with 75 seconds left, you could see it building up basically from early on. You saw guys shoving. You saw guys pushing. But what I remember specifically was that play when Dillon drives on Michael Porter Jr., kind of locked his arm in there, savvy vet move, somehow made the shot. They called the foul on the ground, and Michael Porter Jr. somehow ended on the ground. I remember Dillon Brooks looking and said, he flopped. He flopped. And that is frustrating. You can tell that that's something that this team doesn't respect, which, again, it's not a part of the game. It's not a part of playing tough or playing the right way. So when teams do that type of stuff, but then also try to act tough on the other token, I think that is what fueled the frustrations of the Suns and their coaching staff. And then we saw those frustrations reach ahead.
I like this. This is like soft launching. And I know we had to explain that to you, I think, last season, earlier this season, Espo. This is like Jordan Knott, like kind of soft launching. Like, okay, if this keeps on happening, I'm going to keep on escalating, because it has been.
I know what soft launching.
No, we had to explain to you.
You did not have to explain soft launching.
We'll have to roll the tape on that. I absolutely
There is zero chance you had to explain soft launching.
Did you soft launch the explanation of soft launching?
I'm pretty sure
Ain't nothing soft that around here.
I remember specifically explaining it. I might have hit my head.
Can I get my one shot here, Ayrton?
Uh-oh.
I don't need no explaining when it comes to what soft launching is, or the English language. I got a pretty damn good grasp on that. Just go ask my SAT score, which is a lot different than everybody else's, because I took it way back in the old days.
Back when it was out of 1600.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Way back in the 1600s.
Look, I still liked what Jordan Knott had to say just about the refs and the officiating. I still think that it's going to get to a point with the way the Suns are being officiated where he might have to step in and lose his mind in game. And I know we kind of talked about, is that effective or is that not effective? But Jordan Knott also talked about some of the basketball that happened tonight, specifically Mark Williams and his rolling to the basket and their shift in mindset with getting him the ball.
Yeah, Stephen, I think it was a little bit of both. You know, they obviously started in a little bit of aggressive pick and roll coverage, and he was able to find the pocket. So we anticipated some of that, where he was in the pocket and then he was able to get behind the defense. And when you're 7'2" and X5 is up the floor in an aggressive coverage defense, usually there's a smaller guy back there. So just being patient when he does get in the pocket, when he gets in the paint, knowing that he can always get to the rim if needed. So that started the game. And then against the Reds, that's a solution that we have. You know, obviously we'd love to flip it, get behind the defense, low angle the best we can. But as we sprint out, not only do we put him on the rim, but hopefully it creates a driving vacuum or a gap that we can get to. And then at worst case, we can throw it behind us and then seal or put him right there at the charge circle. And then the last piece, get to the offensive glass. That's some of the solutions against Reds or against switches that we need to find. We definitely discussed, and he was able to apply it tonight.
So he's talking about, I know you mentioned some colors and stuff like that. He's talking about screen and roll coverages that other teams might go against. And that kind of aligns with what we were talking about with Mark and his ability to do some things on a nightly basis, whether it's the way he dives and rolls. If he can get 2 roll buckets a game, doesn't sound like a lot, but if that's a part of his shot diet that also includes a rim run, 1 post up now, that's a part of it, and a putback or 2, he averages 12 points a game. But, you know, I know he mentions 20. That might be a little ambitious, but 15, 16 points a game is very attainable for him just with stuff like that. So that is like the intricacy of talking about, okay, if they're guarding our ball screen and they're trapping it or they're blitzing it, trying to get the ball out of the guy's hands, if Mark's getting on the short roll, or if they're swinging it and he's the guy catching it from the guy who catches the ball on the wing, there are different angles, and we said that earlier. If he plays the angle correctly and he attacks with force, then we'll see the version of Mark Williams that we saw tonight.
What do you think was the most effective way that they used him tonight like that?
I think, I mean, tonight I really was the back to the basket stuff, but also just him rolling hard and getting stuff down the middle of the lane, because it was kind of soft resistance from the Nets. And we know that Nick Claxton is a fine big man. They were down Noah Clowney, and Daron Sharp had a pretty good game, but there's nobody there that you're going to really be met with resistance that is going to make him think twice. And we've seen some guys make Mark Williams think twice, some guys who probably shouldn't make him think twice. But I think what Mark needs to realize is that there really isn't anybody in this league, save for that guy down in San Antonio, who makes everybody think twice. But if he's going down there with force and you go at shot blockers, it makes it difficult for them, because if a guy is going up like this to block your shot, arms raised, and you go into him, they have nowhere else to reach back. So I think it's all a part of the process. You talked about the wall. He's about to play the most games he's ever played in an NBA season, and he's still learning how to play with these guys. So you learn the pick and roll tendencies from some of the guys that you're playing with. So I think it's going to all come together for him, and I think that all it means is that there's more for him to tap into.
Some of Mark's dunks, some of Mark's plays would be in contention for our Love the Play, presented by, of course, Arizona Lottery. Playing gift today if you're over the age of 21. But no, they don't get it. To me, the play of the game, and tell me if you disagree, in a game full of great plays, was Grayson Allen late. We haven't talked about him yet.
Which one? There were two
of them.
He had a whole sequence there after he somehow received a tech during the kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle.
He looked at somebody.
Yeah, he breathed wrong when Michael Porter Jr. is RKOing Damaree Carroll. And
He also had a flagrant tonight, too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Grayson
also had a flagrant against Terrence, which I think that was...
Grayson got his money's worth on that one.
He earned that one.
He earned it.
But after that, like he seemed pretty just mad in general. But that final play, that spin move, layup over a 7-footer and Danny Wolf off the glass, Mark would have had the putback dunk. Luckily, they didn't call basket interference, but that one went in. That, to me, is the play of the game. But I think Grayson Allen, just his play in the fourth quarter, could have been an extended play of the game. We haven't really talked about him at all so far tonight. He had 18 points on 7 of 11 shooting with 6 assists and 4 rebounds. I would be shocked if 14 of those points didn't come in the second half.
It was 14 exactly.
14 in the second half. What a game from him to be able to kind of start off a little bit cold, let Dillon get that scoring going, let Mark get that scoring going, but not just hitting shots at the end of the game, but also finding Mark Williams at a couple passes as well. He threw a lob too tonight. Just an all-around great game from Grayson, who had to step up and get the start with both Collin and Book out.
Yeah, I mean, Grayson accounted for 6 of the points down the stretch, the 2 layups and the pass to Mark that he got
Tough
him.
pass.
Yeah, and got him the fairly easy bucket. So overall, Grayson was clutch tonight. He was the guard that stepped up in the biggest way and said, you know what, I'll take a little bit of the passing responsibility, take a little bit of the scoring responsibility, and you know what, why the hell not? I'll rebound some as well with him. So overall, it's kind of crazy to think that backcourt of him and Goodwin combined for 13 rebounds. He had the 3rd most rebounds of anybody on the Suns tonight. So Grayson, a complete game for him, and it's good to see that he's kind of fully back from where he was after he got hurt.
Not just a quiet first half. He only took 2 shots in the first half.
Selective.
So he was very selective, and I don't think he took any in the first quarter, especially saying he's had some pretty big first quarters in recent games. Even coming off the bench, he's done so. And picking his spots, understanding when the team needed him, and playing through some frustration because he was getting fouled a lot. And we saw it on the flagrant that he earned. But being that guy, because so many times, especially when you're down 3 guys that have played big minutes for you and 3 guys who you would want the ball in their hands in clutch situations, okay, who's the ball going to? And I think coming into tonight, we would have said either Dillon or Grayson if it gets down to the stretch. And those tough finishes around Michael Porter Jr. and Danny Wolf, around the same part on the glass he found, it was just super impressive, super tough from him, and showed up when this team needed him the most. And, as we said, he stepped up after we talked about him. Or as Buddha said, he stepped up after we talked about him at length yesterday.
It was crazy. It was like he almost hit the same exact spot on the glass, almost pinpoint.
Like right outside the square. It's like he works on that, obviously. Very obviously.
And he even said, this is a shot that he works on all the time. And having those counters, and again, everybody on this team has been so good. It's hard when we do these trade talks, and we talked about it yesterday, and I think some people take it the wrong way when we bring up trade conversations and trade talks. Unfortunately, this is a business. We know there's a human element to it, and to cover this business, you have to cover it like a business sometimes. And the Suns have options at the trade deadline. Him playing well is great for them in both regards because he hit a little bit of a lull there, but him coming back, doing all of these little things, scoring, rebounding, passing the ball extremely well over the last 5 or so games, these are all really important things for if Grayson stays or to up his trade value, which are 2 realistic options that the Suns have. We don't put guys in trade talks because we want them to trade. We put guys in trade talks because we have to look logically at what the situation calls for.
And there's been some guys I've put in trade talks because I want to see him go away.
And that's,
I won't
and that's
lie. Not
fair.
this year, but in the past.
That's fair. I just think that sometimes that gets misinterpreted. And Grayson's been a great guy for this team. I know that he got into it a little bit tonight. He spoke post game on the altercation and the build up to it, which I think has been undersold so far.
Yeah, I don't know what happened on the other side, but I'll just say this. I feel like as the game went on, the line between a no call and an altercation got really, really thin. And we had 3 really good officials tonight, but that's just kind of how the game has trended a little bit this year. And it's like that's going to happen. When we allow that physicality from both sides, both teams, like there's no way to not have an altercation like that. So I don't know what was happening on the other side, but if you're going to allow guys for 40 minutes to play that physical on both ends, they let us do it too, then like that's going to happen. But the line is getting really thin. I feel like Dillon gets unlucky going for a ball and hit below the belt and we go to a monitor. Another play, someone makes an unnatural shooting motion, kicks someone on our team below the belt, it's a no call. Like that's what I mean. The line is getting very thin, how physical the game is going. But like I said to the first question, like we're not backing down from that. That's not the message that JO's had to us this whole year. It's not the message that BG's had. That's not the message Matt Ishby's had for this team. We're not going to back down from physicality. So wherever that line is, we're okay with it.
Did he and Jordan not basically just say, if you come at the king, you best not miss because we're going to play
We're going to out physical you
right back.
Yeah.
If this is the way you're going to call these games, like we're just not going to stand for it. And I'm cool with that because this team's built for that. And I don't think a lot of the opponents that they go up against are. And
Michael Podcast Jr.'s not tough, huh?
He's tough behind a mic.
I mean,
a lot of us know about
cover.
that, you know.
He's a tough cover, but he's not tough. Also, so Jordan Knott looked like it looked like he just got done crying. His eyes were like red. Obviously, he didn't. Grayson Allen kind of looked the same way. Do you think they just kind of like?
Off.
Do you think they cried it out post game? Just a nice, good hug and cry afterwards.
I think they're pissed off.
I don't blame them because I mean, Gil, when you're playing right and. Okay, if it's one game, okay, it's one game, right? But when it feels like, man, I'm getting the raw end of the deal every single time here. And again, these games matter. The Suns are a game and a half back from the 4th seed. If this game ended up 4 points different, like this is a bad conversation to have. Like, how frustrating can that be to keep your cool and to continue to play at a high level when all that's happening?
Especially if you feel like this team, as you kind of said, is getting targeted or treated unfairly on a night-to-night basis. It feels like you're up against something bigger than just the opponent every night. You're up against some type of, officiating system that's against you and you're not being respected. And I also think that just like competing, right? There's a lot of emotions that go into competing, and that mixture of like anger and like feeling empty, but you got to win. That takes a lot out of you a lot of the times too. So it's definitely interesting because everybody's different. Some people play better when they're angry. Some people are terrible when they're angry. I was a person that was terrible when I played angry, so I tried not to get upset. But there's some other guys who get themselves angry to play better when they're mad. So it's really interesting to kind of see all that. And then, when it's all said and done, it's so unique about sports as fans or as players on a team. You just went through basically the same wave of emotions with a group of people for 3 hours. And once you kind of debrief about all of that, sometimes it shows if that's the case, or maybe somebody's getting traded and everybody's sad about it.
Maybe.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I think there's certainly the frustration about the refs, but that's an interesting thing. Are we ready for?
I mean, you seem like you have something ready first.
I have something.
Okay, go ahead.
Ayrton, do you have what I'm looking for? Hit it.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. If you're listening on audio, we finally have an intro for SPG, his post-mortem from the morgue. That was fantastic.
I couldn't see anything. It just sounded like X-Files.
You couldn't see it?
Nah.
It's you as a coroner zipping up a body bag is essentially what it is. So welcome to the post-mortem with SPG.
Oh, man. Steven, man, what a great game. What an interesting game, basketball-wise, kerfuffle-wise. I have a very simple yet poignant question to start things off with, and that is Mark Williams.
Yeah, what a great question. It feels like it's been 2 months that I've been saying, like, y'all might want to start getting Mark the ball a little bit more. I might want to start getting Mark the ball a little bit more. It's gotten to the point where there's teams that have switching as part of their base defense, but there's also been teams saying, okay, we know y'all don't throw it to him much. So what if we just switch his pick and rolls? What do you guys do then? Because you're clearly not comfortable getting it to him. And if we do that, we're able to stay in more advantage instead of conceding an opportunity for you all in your offense. So it's unfortunate that it took for Jalen and Devin and Collin to be out of the lineup for them to put everything else aside and prioritize getting Mark Williams the basketball. But look at the result. A season high in points in the paint, and that they don't get there without the 27 that he got. And there's other points that they got just from the precedent being set from him getting the ball early. I mean, the first possession of the game, they call a play for Mark Williams. Don't know if that's been happening pretty much the entire season, where it's intentional, not a pick and roll or not a dribble handoff. They're running a cross screen action from block to block for him to get a post touch because they know they're switching. Like, I start there with that. And then the other part for me was, like, that first quarter from him was amazing. I think him getting out of his screen so quickly and putting pressure on the paint and on the rim for them really kind of undid the switching and the blitzing that the Nets were trying to get into. But him being so willing to make short roll passes on his initial touch, not being I get the ball and I'm going to score right away. Corner skip, Goody drives a closeout, and he's rewarded for his selflessness getting the ball back at the basket for a dunk. And then another one gets a post touch against Michael Porter Jr., I think. And you might be thinking, okay, he got the ball, now he's going to go to work. No, it's still time on the clock. Kicks it back out to Dillon. Now they getting a two-man action, and he just screens under, stays under, and now he gets an easy roll dunk. All of this stuff happening in the first quarter. What a game from Mark Williams, man. I know people talk about the rebounding, but look at what he did in terms of providing impact in an area that they needed it sorely. Outside of Jamaree Bouyea and a few of Grayson Allen's drives, no one else was putting pressure on the rim unless it was him. And they don't win this game if he doesn't have that mindset to play with force the way that he did tonight.
Was this the most blue-collarist of wins this year? Because it wasn't pretty at times, and they did the dirty work. It felt like it on this end.
You know, it's tough because there's a lot of competition for them this season with gritty blue-collar wins. I think that win in L.A. where Devin gets hurt in the first quarter comes to mind at the top of that. So I can't firmly say yes. I will say it's up there for sure. And again, they won this, to your point, off of their identity more than anything else. So yes, it's one of them for sure.
Stevie, you mentioned Mark's 27 points being the catalyst of the 72 points in the paint. Season low, 23-point attempts. And the shot really hasn't been falling for this team, at least since they've gotten back from the road trip. What do you make of how the offense adjusted and was deliberate about getting those points in the paint and really doing different things than what we're used to seeing from them, given who wasn't available?
Yeah, I mean, just at face value, you look at the box score, was it 5 for 20 from deep tonight?
Yep.
He like, all right, there's no way you winning this game. You give up 12, 13, 14 threes to your opponents. This is the Phoenix Suns we talking about. And y'all hear that? It's a bunch of dogs barking. Bunch of dogs barking, and they can't be held back on their leash or on the chain or anything. They're trying to get after it. That's just what this team is, man. They just find ways to win. Eric and Espo, how many times last season did I have to go the broken record route and say winning teams find a way to win and losing teams find a way to lose? Whether they're up 20 in the fourth quarter or down 20 in the fourth quarter, it's just simple, and it continues to prove itself. We're seeing the opposite side of that spectrum with this Suns team, to answer your question, Gil. Cool. So many of our leading scorers is out. They just say, whatever, let's figure it out. And I think them being able to score the way that they did mattered, but I think them getting, I think it was 25 more points off of turnovers tonight. 20, I think this is their 18th game with 25 or 20 or more turnovers points scored in a game. They're 20-8 in those games. Like, they're they just figure out ways to get it done, man. Like, I don't know if there's probably maybe one or two other teams in the league that can win a game where they only knock down 5 threes. And that says a lot about this team.
Steven, can I read a little something to you and get your reaction here?
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously tonight there was quite a few questionable moments and big calls the refs had to make. Kellen Olson was the pool reporter. This was his conversation with crew chief Curtis Blair following tonight's Suns-Nets game. Question from Kellen. Why was a review called for prior to Dillon Brooks' flagrant 1 foul? What did you see on the play that constituted a review? Blair, we reviewed the play to see if a loose ball foul by Brooks was unnecessary. Kellen, why was Dillon Brooks' flagrant 1 foul constituted as unnecessary contact while reaching for the ball? Upon review, we deemed that the illegal contact by Brooks had wind up an impact to Claxton's groin area, and there was a high potential for injury. There's more, but I want to pause there. Do you think that Dillon Brooks wound up to hit Nick Claxton and the Claxtons, and that there was a potential for injury there?
I don't know how one can wind up when one is being pulled down as the one who's being hit is falling down. Like, how can you, momentum-wise, this is just simple physics. You don't even need, like, schooling for this. Momentum-wise, you're being pulled. How can you wind up as that's happening? I genuinely don't get it. I don't understand it. Yeah, that's probably the most that I can say on it, because there's nothing you can do now. But that's ridiculous. I saw you tweeted about it being a reputation technical or flagrant, rather. That's definitely what that was.
Did Dillon have anything to say post-game on this whole situation?
So I unfortunately had to dip from Dillon to get Mark at the podium. They just timed that so perfectly. So I'm not sure. I'm sure someone asked him, and he probably gave a candid answer, as he always would, to it. But yeah, I imagine he had something to say about that.
Let me continue a little bit of reading here. Question. Why was a review called prior to Dillon Brooks' technical foul without any foul calls on the whistle? Blair, we reviewed the play to see if a hostile act occurred. Why was Dillon Brooks given a technical foul? For pushing Dëmin to the ground following a loose ball on Dëmin. Did you not see Egor Dëmin's actions on the play as instigating as he was holding Brooks? Not during live play, no. What were your takeaways from that play with Dillon Brooks and the holding that, as the broadcast called, Egor Dëmin did to him?
Dëmin, right. I'm just shaking my head emoji, man. That's really all I can do. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, he's not – we've seen Dillon be instigator before. I don't think it's beyond a shadow of a doubt when he's playing that role versus when he's just in a situation that kind of escalates. And, you know, refs kind of jump into these conclusions when he's involved with something. It's the unfortunate part of when you play the enforcer, the evolved version of an enforcer for a team. Like, you get caught in limbo with these situations, and it almost never works in your favor. Not fair to him, but I think after that first initial situation that happened earlier in the game, he did a great job of trying to keep himself out of position to where he would hurt the team, considering they were operating without 3 of their 4 best players in tonight's game, or 3 of their 5 best players, depending on how you want to look at it. So salute to Dillon because he was able to finish the game, and if he's not able to, they do not win this game. I know we're just not talking about him, but his bucket getting was very, very, very much needed tonight, as well as the defense. Shout out him.
One last thing, the last reading time with Eric. Thank you all for indulging me. I find this
We're just
interesting.
impressed.
The final question. I know I can read. Thank you. Could you run through an explanation for each of the 5 technical fouls given towards the end of the game? Dëmin dead ball push to Brooks from behind. Mann and O'Neal physical interaction with each other and does not resolve. Porter for pushing assistant coach Jamaree Carroll, and Allen for taunting Williams while he was on the ground. Huh?
I didn't
And
see that.
it took like 7.5 minutes for them to suss through all of that over the review, and you still came away wrong with that. I don't know how much help they're receiving from Secaucus with these situations, but if this is the result and it took that long and you still got it wrong, there needs to be a lot more implement from the guys that are in a more controlled environment that hopefully are actually watching it, can assess it and help you make a much more concise type of decision on it, because at no point in that did it feel like Grayson was taunting anybody. Like, yeah, I don't understand it.
Right.
Especially considering how much time it took for them to come to a conclusion with it. Got to be better, NBA. Got to be better, man.
AJ brought up an interesting thought. They should let us listen in on the conversation between them and Secaucus. At that point, like then there's nothing hidden behind a shroud of secrecy. We'll at least understand the thinking behind it at that point. Also, I'd like to say the Nets are lucky that Jamaree Carroll didn't kick their ass for that. Like that was
How was that not
his
an ejection?
choice.
And Kellen asked, the final question was, did any of that warrant an ejection? And they said no. Like, he pushed an assistant coach. Gil, what if you pushed an assistant coach? Would you be still in that game?
I would think not.
Especially if you did it now, they'd
This is
probably
now
throw him out
this-
of the arena.
This is the second time this season where we've seen a Suns opponent put their hands on someone that they shouldn't be, and there not being any hefty consequences or repercussions in that moment for it.
Well,
Even
the first
after
time it was
review.
LeBron, so that doesn't count. So
LeBron,
Also
Michael
true.
Porter Jr., you know.
Same guy.
Basically.
LBJ, MPJ.
Podcaster.
Hey, both professional podcasters.
See? You SPG knows.
Steven, I'd love to hear your takeaways from Rasheer Fleming's minutes tonight. Obviously, you look at the stats, not the best stats from in 8 minutes, but by my eyes, it was his best meaningful stint of his young career so far. What did you see from the Rook?
I mean, he was all over the floor, man. I feel like he just picked up the baton off of what everyone else on the court was doing. Anytime there was a loose ball, there was probably like 2 sequences where you see his long wingspan where a 50-50 ball is on the floor, play a factor in who ends up with the ball or where the ball ends up going after he gets a fingertip or a full hand on it. His multiple efforts are very impressive. I think he had a sequence with Nigel Davis where I don't know who got the block, but they both kind of collapsed on the ball at the rim, and then the Suns ended up scoring on the other end. He's really good. That makeup ability that he possesses is something that all of the best quality individual defenders have in the league, especially when you're talking about them doing things on the basketball. Now it's just about him being groomed up to being able to play a solid 10 to 12 to 15 minutes and then getting that closer to 20 and then allowing for his offensive game to kind of grow out with that. But I think it all starts on the defensive end. I feel like his defense is already league ready. And as he kind of builds up the kind of the disposition to be able to play without fouling and stay on schedule with team schemes, he's going to be an impactful player as soon as that all kind of comes together.
We'll talk about the defense a little bit more. I know you talked about Rasheer's defense, and you tweeted about the defensive effort from the Suns tonight. So one, the effort, and what'd you make of that? But also the game plan. MPJ struggled last week. Tonight, he didn't struggle, put it plainly. But do you think that might have been intentional? Because I'm looking at the box score. He and Cam Thomas are the only guys that got double-digit shot attempts in this game. And it was kind of like, look, these 2 guys are going to get theirs, and we'll try to limit everybody else. What'd you see from the defensive game plan and the effort and intensity?
Yeah, they were physical, man. They were getting after it. Whenever whenever MPJ was getting into some of the off-ball actions or the DHOs that I'm sure y'all talked about in pregame, they were all over him. He had to work through a top block and then had to work through physicality that was met with the switch that took place after that, and then had to get to the ball. That's a lot to deal with. Now, like we talked about post-game, whenever the last time they played the Nets was, he's not Kevin Durant, but he has that stratosphere type release where he's 6'9", and he's releasing it from like 7'2", and he's a moving target on top of that, like a high-level moving target. You're not going to be able to get a clean contest on him more often than not, so you want to try to impact his rhythm getting into those shots because he's not the fastest guy. And I feel like they did as much as they could with that in the kind of the play before the play. And now when he got the ball, it was kind of up for grabs at that point, and he was knocking down some tough shots. Yeah. But I think that's the point. You don't want him to be scoring comfortably. How many times do you feel like you can remember seeing him score comfortably or thinking like, man, where was the effort when he knocked down that shot? Like, guys were there. They were working their tails off to try to get over the screens and the handoffs and all of that stuff that he runs through. He's a good scorer. He's a really good scorer, and I feel like that's just kind of what he does. Now, the Cam Thomas part, he made even tougher baskets today, man. Like, some of the buckets he makes is ridiculous, man. Floaters over contested 7'2", 7'3" wingspans, and he's just treating them like they're cones, is just tossing it right over the arm and it's going into the bucket. He's a little bit different of a challenge, but I think they mitigated as much as they could and obviously controlled the controllables on the physicality part. So, job well done for them again. Brooklyn was shooting 60% after the first quarter. By the end of the game, the Suns were able to kind of chip that down to 50%. Doesn't sound like a big difference, but when you factor in the way the game was flowing and the barrage of turnovers that Brooklyn had, this is why the Suns have a top 5 defense.
Steven, it's always great talking to you live from the morgue after games. Of course, you'll be back there for another game on Thursday night. So looking forward to talking to you then. In the meantime, of course, you can follow Steven at StevenPG3. That is Steven with a PH for film breakdowns, for notebooks. Actually, did you get your notes back? Were they able to restore that for you or no?
Yes. Crisis aborted. Shout out to the Fruit phone company. We appreciate y'all. They handle business for us.
The Pear phone. We love it.
No free ads, but very glad you got your notes.
For sure.
very glad you got your
notes. And also, shout out Jamaree Bouyea, because
facts.
He provided everything the team needed and then some. Shot in the arm and all of that tonight. So shout out him.
Shout out to you.
I thought you meant he was working the Genius Bar as a second job. So.
I mean, he might as well. If you asked him to do that, he probably could have did that tonight too. Like, that's just the type of space
he'll build your phone too.
For sure.
Look, man, of course, looking forward to everything you have to break down in this game on your socials. Like I said, at StevenPG3. That's Steven with the PH. Glad you got your own intro. You need to go back and watch it, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I will. Appreciate y'all. See y'all in a minute.
See ya. All right, boys. You ready to get out of here?
Yes.
Let's get out of here. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. That's on Twitter and on Instagram as well. Thank you all so much for being here. Please hit that subscribe button on the way out for an hour-and-a-half post-game show after beating the Nets at the end of January. Come on. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Become a member. Become a diehard. Lots of member-only, diehard-only content coming out there. And if you're not subscribed to our audio feeds, we have audio-only content going out there every single week as well. We've got you covered with being a Phoenix Suns fan and, of course, just an Arizona sports fan in general. You can follow the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all the magic happen at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Espo and catch him on Southwest Bias every weekday morning at Espo. You can follow Gil at Gil McGregor _ Keep your eyes out for his next power ranking tracker. And you can follow me at ERIKRUBY, just making memes on Twitter as always. And we'll talk to you all next game.
Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.